Okay, I have an analysis. I see three dimensions of quote unquote Black conservatism. One of them is political economy. So you're for free markets and small government, and you're distrustful of welfare. Another is cultural. So you're religious, your traditional values, you're, not with the ultra postmodern new age sensibilities around basic issues. And then the third is just heterodoxy from the consensus opinion about whatever. So, you don't like affirmative action, or you think reparations is a bad move, or you're tired of all the belly aching and, kind of victim mongering and stuff like that as a Black person, and you speak out against that. Which is, I think you are not a political economic conservative. You are not a cultural conservative.
No,
you're much more of a kind of centrist Democrat on the cultural issues, and you're much more of a kind of maybe moderately right of center Democrat on the political economy issues. But on the on the Ta-Nehisi Coates' or Ibram X. Kendi's dreadlocks, or the Nicole Hannah-Jones persona, Ida Bae Wells, kind of a persona, what she embodies and what she represents on behalf of articulating African Americans. On Ta-Nehisi Coates, back in the day when he was ascendant, a lot of it was stylistic. A lot of it was, arrogating to himself something about speaking for Black people that you took exception to. But I don't know how much you guys differ on social policy questions and whatnot. I don't know. I'm characterizing you. You might think I'm not doing it accurately.
No, you are. I am in that third category, and therefore think that the role and significance of racism is vastly exaggerated. Many people think of that as a conservative position, but it has nothing to do with wanting to conserve anything, racism in the past, if we're going to think about it that way. It's just that, and not to drag these people's name through the mud, but it's illustrative because they're very active on Twitter. Nicole Hannah-Jones and Ibram X. Kendi, their lesson from Claudine Gay is it was racism, which I think is extremely oversimplifying it, and I think many people left of center would say that too, but both of them firmly believe that and continue to tweet about it. And I don't think we need to have any doubt that Ta-Nehisi Coates' view would be the same if he were still on that platform. If somebody like me says no, and that's considered a radical statement to say that no, racism was not the reason that she got knocked down, and racism is vastly exaggerated as a reason why there are disparities between white and Black people today. That's considered a radical thing, and there's a shorthand of calling that conservative. But I think that the language and the reality have a very approximate fit at this point.
So I'm moved to invoke my Larry Summers analogy again and wonder about calling that anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
And how absurd that'll sound, and how inept it would be for an advocate of Jewish interests to make an argument in those terms.
That it was because
it would just be ridiculous. It would be laughed out of court in a minute, and it would be shown to be a certain kind of, identity mongering. Oh, everything's anti-Semitism now, kind of thing like that. But this is that. Oh, everything is racism now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rather than, and of course for these people, Blackness is different. Everybody.
But we don't have the wisdom to forbear. We don't have the sense of self to say, no, I won't present myself prostrate to the nation as a monger of my own victimization. Everything's racism, including a wealthy princess of a scion of a elite family with a pedigree that, is as purely selective as it could possibly be, falling flat on her face in the biggest academic job in the country.
But remember that we have to talk.
And we're calling it racism. We don't take any responsibility. We don't, and we think people are going to buy it. And all they're going to do is raise their eyebrow.
Glenn,
and
you and I have been in certain settings. Remember that time we were at Skip Gates's house having dinner, and it was you, me, Larry Summers, Skip, Orlando Patterson, Marcelliana Morgan, and some other people, and we were all having dinner. Remember that? This is like 1952. Well, at that,
no, you were out there giving some lecture, weren't you?
Was that what that was? It was when I gave the whatchamacallits.
The boys.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, this is so.
I can remember you playing the piano and, whatnot.
I did do that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was
Like
nice.
02. That's right. And in that same setting, I'm sure Claudine Gay has been in that same setting. You're sitting there, you're drinking the wine, and they're the hired caterers who bring out the appetizers and stuff. I'm quite sure that she has various stories she tells of the racism that she's undergone, even as the scion of wealthy Haitian immigrants because of her dark skin. And so she has stories about being discriminated against at Stanford, I'm sure, because it was very fashionable among Black undergraduates at exactly the time she was there to talk about that sort of thing. And I'm sure she talks about how her dark skin has gotten her discriminated against even by some Black people. I'm guessing, but you've been around after a while, you get to know types. Somebody could type me too. But remember, she thinks of herself as a victim of racism. She's got all sorts of anecdotes. And so the fact that she comes from rich Haitians doesn't matter. It's all about our skin color and all of that bigotry that we all suffer as the result of it. And white people buy completely into that exaggerated mythology, which Tyler Austin Harper has so perfectly skewered in a couple of his pieces. And not to say that he doesn't understand his racism, but people have taken it too far. So yeah, frankly, remember that she thinks of herself as a victim of racism. And that this would be just one more example. She's a late 20th century educated Black person. That's what one thinks. So here we are.